Nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave. Yep. He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You take a look at it, you say, all right, well, can they do this? But the one thing I know, every year I love the SEC championship game. Like this year, we're going to get a pretty good treat in the Big Ten because you have Indiana and Ohio State. But every single year, it's never like I don't have to watch that. Because the reason I bring that up is there's a game that's going to be on 8 o'clock that probably should just be played at midnight or 1 a.m. The ACC championship game. Like, things are not the same.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots, it was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts those 2 games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
GameTime decisions live on SportsGrid on a Thursday night. Kevin Walsh with you live from the decisions desk, and we have a sneaky important one in the NFC South between the Bucs and the Falcons. This really headlines otherwise quite light Thursday card. The importance of this game, though, elevated because of the recent struggles that have hit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The still favorites within the division had seemingly wrapped this up a while ago. Well, Carolina has turned that gap into 0. The Bucs and the Panthers still play one another twice. The division probably comes down to those 2 games, but if it ends up a split, which it is projected, you then might suggest it's the remaining divisional matchups that will decide this all. And for the Bucs, having already played the Saints twice and losing to them once, they're going to have to handle business here against Atlanta. Tampa Bay at 7-6, look to gain a win tonight and enter this game at -300 to win the South. Luckily for Tampa Bay, they are getting closer and closer to full strength as they bring back Mike Evans for the first time in a long time. Mike Evans has dealt with injuries early season that then in his first game back took a turn with a collarbone injury. So he had been dealing with the hamstring that had kind of been, costing him games, it felt like, for a number of seasons. The collarbone injury changed it all for Mike Evans. It snaps his 1,000-yard streak, and we wonder what does it look like for Mike out there. But what's interesting is when you remember he's coming back from a collarbone injury, from a snap-to-snap basis, shouldn't Mike Evans be fine? Now, they are saying he's expected to be on a pitch count, but I just feel like whenever Mike Evans was out there off of these hamstring injuries, you were worried about re-injury. It doesn't feel like that should be as prevalent in this game. On the Atlanta side, they go with Kirk Cousins once again, as Michael Penix Jr.'s season has been over. The tough thing of it all for the Falcons is there is zero incentive to lose this game, as their first-round pick belongs to the Los Angeles Rams. In the NBA tonight, you've got a couple of intriguing matchups. Maybe the best of the bunch is going to be late night in Sacramento with the Kings and the Nuggets. Now, that could perhaps be an indictment on the slate overall, or me showing my cards a little bit that I think Russell Westbrook and the Kings could put up a fight here in this game against Denver. We've actually seen Russ really show up in all three games against the Nuggets this season. He's averaging 20 points along with 8.7 rebounds and 9.3 assists in those three head-to-head meetings. Jokic is in an interesting spot with some of his recent games. The Joker, now it's not going to hurt him in terms of averaging a triple-double because the rebounds are so clean, but all of a sudden now, Joker's not had a triple-double in 5 of 6 because of the rebounds. That almost never happens with Nikola Jokic. His last 6 games rebound totals, 9, 20, 8, 9, and 9. Interesting to see Joker in that tonight here up against Sacramento. In other NBA news, some books have flipped the Oklahoma City Thunder to minus money favorites to win the NBA championship. OKC gets a win yesterday against the Phoenix Suns by 49 points, 138-89. They led by as many as 53 in the game. They were dominant again, and I think we still look to figure out how do we find value on this basketball team. That is why I gave out Mark Daigneault not once but twice on this show to win Coach of the Year. He's now the favorite. It's why Cason Wallace to win Defensive Player of the Year is something I continue to eye up and talk about with people. From 500 to 1, we've now seen it go to 50 to 1. A new market that I've seen for the first time today is Oklahoma City to not lose consecutive games this season. They don't have a second loss yet this season, so much less consecutive games. Plus 475. I'm interested, and that may get put on the board before we get out of this first 30 minutes. Want to maybe get a little bit of insight from DRS on that one. Feel free to let us know what you think at the Kevin Walsh at SportsGrid. OKC to not lose consecutive games checks in at plus 475. If you're not betting the NBA tonight, but you're a basketball fan, it likely means that you're going to get into the Iowa State-Iowa game. 12.5-point number we're seeing in some spots here on the Cyclones. Very tempted to buy the dip, if you will, on Iowa. I know their toughest challenge was at Michigan State, and they were blown out in that game by 19. I backed Iowa on a team total in that matchup. They didn't have it in any capacity. Cyclones made a case for number one team in the country with a win at Purdue, 81-58. But I think Iowa's better than this number says. I mean, you have a number that is 7 points more than what Michigan State laid to Iowa. Hawkeyes super slow. So when you get a grinding team like this, which is crazy. It's such a 180 in terms of identity. When you get a spot like this, double digits, it could make, you'd rather have those points. Could be hard to extend on a team like that. Hawkeyes stand out to me. They're going to be a tempting option here on this card tonight. NHL slate's actually pretty wide here. A couple of games at 7 o'clock, including the nation's capital, where the Canes are a slight favorite up against Washington. A little bit later on tonight, Connor McDavid and the Oilers in action, sitting right now at around minus 180 against the Detroit Red Wings. And then you've got what is probably, at least on paper, a great matchup, the Avs and the Panthers. But Colorado's dominance does not have that number right now projected as a close one. The defending champion Florida Panthers up against what is right now the clean favorites to win this year's Stanley Cup in Colorado. And it's probably worth mentioning, look, we do our periodic check-ins with the NHL, odds and slate. The Avs at plus 390 compared to Tampa Bay at plus 750, Tampa Bay having the second best price. That is abnormal for I feel at least, recent seasons pricing with the Stanley Cup. I feel like it is usually congested, and it is through the season. You don't see much separation with these teams. That Avs number goes to show the books have really been put in a position where they have to heavily respect what they've done. I mean, another area in which that's evident is Nathan McKinnon's price to win league MVP, minus 220, with McDavid as the second option. Now, McKinnon is currently leading this league in goals and points. It's a clean case. I don't think McDavid really has one in this moment, but he's also Connor McDavid, right? For comparison's sake, Shea is plus 110 because the books don't want to completely remove him from Jokic. So McKinnon removing himself that far from McDavid, I think it does speak volumes. Just kind of something to keep your eyes on. So tonight we will be locking in on Thursday Night Football, the start of Week 15 in the National Football League. I know a lot of you out there, the fantasy postseason beginning as well. A 5.5-point spread and a total that checks in at 43.5. Where is the value? How about the touchdown market on a jackpot Thursday? We will cover it all. We're joined by our guy, Donnie Rightside, next after the break. We are live with you right here on SportsGrid.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. The Lions will make the playoffs this season. Buy or sell?
I believe that's what the computer tells us, right? They are almost exactly 50-50 to make the playoffs now after that win. Now, it's sort of the game I'm going to play here when we talk about the Cowboys making the playoffs. If you're going to put Detroit in, Craig, who are you taking out? All right? I mean, they're not, even with the win last night, they're not in the playoff spot right now. They're still the 8th seed here. You taking out San Fran? I mean, their schedule's cake. They should get in. Green Bay beat you twice. I mean, so you would probably need, for them to make the playoffs, Seattle's the other team, by the way, I think Seattle gets in. You would need Green Bay or Chicago, really. What they're ready for is one to beat the other. They do play each other twice, to beat them twice, right? They can't have a split here. They need either Chicago to beat Green Bay twice or Green Bay to beat Chicago twice, sort of eliminate the other team. So I am probably selling this. I do think there's a chance here. You look at the Lions' schedule, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, the last two are on the road.
Yeah, I think that I'm on board here with you. In the AFC, Detroit would be in. But in the NFC, you have to make a prediction to knock a team out. Now, like as an example, in the NFC East, could you see a scenario, George, where Philadelphia just completely falls apart like they did 2 years ago? Sure, but then they still would win the division. Like you really can't find a path for the Lions unless, for me, I guess the team that I would question the most to make it and knock them out would be the Bears. Like that would be it. It would be just the Bears playing the softer schedule. I know they beat Philadelphia last week, but I just can't do it right now. So unfortunately, this could be a 11-win season, 10-win season for Detroit without them getting in. I will sell. They will not make it. I'm with you here.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions live on a Thursday night. Kevin Walsh joined by Donnie Rightside. You can catch Donnie Monday through Friday right here on SportsGrid, leading the early line. You can catch DRS as well on SportsGrid's College Football Today. And I know we do have Falcons-Bucks to get to, but I think, Donnie, people will probably be expecting the first time you and I talk since the College Football Playoff Committee had an interesting Sunday to bring that up.
Kevin. Faith.
What was your, Donnie, what was your reaction to everything that we saw Sunday with Miami getting in, Alabama getting in, Notre Dame being left out?
I was going live with Tom at noon. I said, we're not going to do this show until this actually happens. And they ate up 30 minutes of our time. I got to tell you, I almost knocked off my chair when I saw Miami in the 10th spot, to be honest, because we're taught to go by the betting markets, and Vegas knows everything, and the betting markets understand it. When I saw, and I was doing a live tweet, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and up till showtime, I'm like, Miami's out. Notre Dame is minus 3,000. You're telling me nobody in that building, technology people, who's setting up the graphics, who's talking about on the show. And I know, Kevin, you guys were live. But Joey Gallo was basically up there in the first 30 seconds. Yeah, it stinks Miami's out, but that's just the way it's going to be. I was like, oh, man, they're already tipping us off right away, only to find out Miami was in. I will say this, Kevin. Notre Dame and Miami should have been in. The performance Alabama put on for their third loss of the season, they didn't drop a single spot. You've got to be kidding me. I couldn't believe it. I was watching an Alabama game like, they're out. They can't even compete. It's over. I don't want to see anymore. And they got in basically knowing before that game was even played that they were in. That's crazy.
Yeah, just to Donnie's point there, and that's why I wanted to let Donnie go first. I mean, especially, too, I think if it was like Sunday, I yelled at Lisi a bunch on Sunday, right? My issue was not as much Miami being in. It's, Donnie, there was no logical conclusion to get to what they got to. Because they're like, well, we dropped BYU, and once Notre Dame and Miami were close, well, then why didn't you drop Bama? Bama looked worse than BYU did, quite frankly. So it was inconsistent. And I think what happened, and you know, Donnie, we've worked long enough together. You know I'm not really a conspiracy guy. I think it became very clear. They couldn't put in Duke, a 5-loss ACC champion, so they had to put in Miami. I truly believe that if Virginia beat Duke, they would have left Notre Dame in and said the ACC had representation.
Yes, every single thing of chaos, which, Kevin, we didn't get 2 weeks previous. Like, we saw Texas beat Texas A&M, had no bearing on the college football championship whatsoever. But every single thing you needed for chaos absolutely happened on the championship days. And I do agree with you as well, because there would have been more of a conversation. But if the ACC was like, hey, as long as we got a seat at the table, Miami doesn't go, we're upset, but at least we have a complaint. There was no way the ACC as a power conference was going to get left out. And the easiest one was say, okay, we're not putting Duke in 5 losses. Miami's going to go, and here's how we're going to do it. We don't drop down Alabama. We go Notre Dame side by side with Miami. Miami gets the nod, they're in, and that's the way it's going to be handled. So there is something to that where it would have been very interesting if UVA had won, and UVA probably would have been in, and Miami probably would have been out.
Now, my one other question on this is, I think because Donnie, Miami, and Notre Dame were pitted against one another, you saw some news come out of Notre Dame that you initially reacted very negatively to. But Donnie, I think knowing what your cause is, don't you think you actually should be a Notre Dame guy? Mr. N. Bowles, shouldn't you be wearing a Marcus Freeman t-shirt after that decision to not go to a bowl game?
Well, I understand where the tweet came from. It came from the heart, because I don't like Notre Dame, even though it was a Notre Dame all season long, and they should have been in the playoff there, but just some politics got in at the end.
Yeah.
But when I saw Notre Dame didn't go, I wanted to take the first shot at Notre Dame. And then right behind it, I was like, you know what? They're on to something here, because now you're seeing bowls going away, and I'm telling you right now, my initial thoughts, Kevin, before the final college football playoff television show to put them in was, if Miami has to be left out to sacrifice bowl games getting shorter and an expanded college football playoff, I'm here. And Kevin, I've been talking so much on this network for years. You know it. In a few years, Kevin, we won't have bowl season. We'll have 24-plus teams in, and it will be an amazing run to a championship. We don't need bowls anymore. Matter of fact, Kevin, I haven't even looked at I don't care who's in the bowls. This championship is going to be so much fun. No bowl matters. Like I just found out today, hey, Michigan is playing Texas. Didn't know that. Don't care about it either.
Yeah. Again, I do love, but look, DRS was going to do it anyway. Leading the charge on college football today. Get out of my face with the bowl games.
Leave it up to Lisi.
I'll say this. They put together the least attractive bowl slate I have seen in my life. Like, they're like, what? Okay, Vanderbilt's super exciting. Who should they play? Iowa. Oh, my gosh. I mean, really? USC, big brand. People will show up. Let's get them a big game. TCU. Oh, come on. I've never seen the ball. BYU, Georgia Tech. Oh, come on. I'm sorry. But they put together a really, really bad combination of all of those things. Let's start to talk a little bit about tonight's game here, DRS, which is Tampa Bay and Atlanta. It's an important one in the NFC South. Do you have a lean on the side or total, or is this more of a prop game for you?
I got a couple props, but I do think the right side tonight is going to be Tampa Bay. Sometimes you take the extracurriculars, Kevin, right? 4.5s all day up to 5.5s. I agree with that line move because you're getting the best of both worlds with Tampa Bay. Must-win situation. They're at home on a Thursday. Major advantage. Well, what's going on in Atlanta? Eliminated from the playoffs. Yes, they're professionals, Kevin. Yes, they're going to play hard, but also, Kate Otten's not going to play tonight. You'd like to see him play, but this is the most talented, skill position players you're going to see the entire season for Tampa Bay tonight. You're telling me Baker Mayfield has his band of misfits out there, those 4 wide receivers running wild, and a healthy Bucky Irving? There's no reason that Tampa Bay doesn't win this game tonight. So you keep it simple. If you think Tampa Bay is going to win, Kevin, they're going to cover the 5.5. I think it's a Bucks night tonight because it's a perfect storm. Home game, Thursday, late season, one team's out, one team's playing for their lives. I think it makes sense to take Tampa Bay tonight.
Would you say, too, Donnie, that Mike Evans is more trustworthy than usual when he's coming back from an injury because it's a collarbone and not a hamstring?
Yeah. Love it. You hit the nail on the head right there, Kevin. What do you worry about? Hey, I'm working back from an ankle. I can't. He's been running for months at this point.
Yeah.
Running routes, just not catching the football. He is going to be in great cardio shape tonight. So when they say he's on a limited pitch count, they just want to see how he reacts to some content. But it's not like, hey, he looks a step slow. He should be as fast as he ever is tonight in his NFL career.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch this one play out. There's a few other items here for this game, but also want to start to get Donnie's thoughts for some of the options this weekend, including the Eagles, who I know let him down in a major way on Monday night. We'll be right back. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. The Lions will make the playoffs this season. Buy or sell?
I believe that's what the computer tells us, right? They are almost exactly 50-50 to make the playoffs now after that win. Now, it's sort of the game I'm going to play here when we talk about the Cowboys making the playoffs. If you're going to put Detroit in, Craig, who are you taking out? All right? I mean, they're not, even with the win last night, they're not in the playoff spot right now. They're still the 8th seed here. You taking out San Fran? I mean, their schedule's cake. They should get in. Green Bay beat you twice. I mean, so you would probably need, for them to make the playoffs, Seattle's the other team, by the way, I think Seattle gets in. You would need Green Bay or Chicago, really, what they're ready for is one to beat the other. They do play each other twice, to beat them twice, right? They can't have a split here. They need either Chicago to beat Green Bay twice or Green Bay to beat Chicago twice, sort of eliminate the other team. So I am probably selling this. I do think there's a chance here. You look at the Lions' schedule, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, the last 2 are on the road.
Yeah, I think that I'm on board here with you. In the AFC, Detroit would be in. But in the NFC, you have to make a prediction to knock a team out. Now, like as an example, in the NFC East, could you see a scenario, George, where Philadelphia just completely falls apart like they did 2 years ago? Sure, but then they still would win the division. Like you really can't find a path for the Lions unless, for me, I guess the team that I would question the most to make it and knock them out would be the Bears. Like that would be it. It would be just the Bears playing the softer schedule. I know they beat Philadelphia last week, but I just can't do it right now. So unfortunately, this could be a 11-win season, 10-win season for Detroit without them getting in. I will sell. They will not make it. I'm with you here.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid, it is Game Time Decisions. We've got some hoops we'll get you ready for at the top of the hour, but we're sticking with the NFL action right now. Donnie Rightside joining us here. And DRS, the Bucks a 5.5-point favorite. We've talked through just some of the preliminary options there. Is this a game, though, where you're also interested, maybe if it's not necessarily, premium off-card, best bet, but hey, we can have some fun with this game here. The 1-and-1 or each quarterback for 2 passing touchdowns type of situation?
Yeah, exactly. And here's the way I would play it. If you're looking for Atlanta, I want nothing to do with anybody they have outside of Bijan Robinson. And if you're just correlating this game, don't take Atlanta plus 5.5. Just take Bijan Robinson. He can run for 90 yards, catch 40 yards worth of passes, and they get blown out in this game. But the one thing you do know, if he does well here, they're probably going to be in the game, but I'm not taking the Atlanta side. Bijan's the only guy. Touchdown prop for Bijan, love it. Receiving prop for Bijan, maybe just combine, as I said, rushing and receiving. But from a Tampa side, it's hard to determine how much Mike Evans is going to play. But you know as well as I do, Kevin, when they start talking about, hey, if he feels good, we'll let him go, 100% of the snaps he's going to be in the red zone. You know Baker Mayfield, he loves Mike Evans. They will force feed him the football. So if I'm looking from a touchdown perspective, I love the double up at plus money. It would be Mike Evans and Igbuka on one side or the other. One of those guys is catching a touchdown tonight, if not both of them. I think Baker Mayfield makes sense with over 1.5 touchdown passes, but Baker Mayfield tonight, with, again, the most talented wide receiver group he's had all season long, when everybody's back, he should be able to throw for around 225 or more in this game as well.
All right, so some news coming out from Adam Schefter, Donnie, as you and I are sitting here right now, that Kenny Pickett is expected to start Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a spot, though, we've not seen Philly in really much at all this season. Look, I know people will say I'm covering for them, but I think we have lost sight of the fact that this was labeled the hardest schedule in the NFL coming into the season. The Eagles are double-digit favorites. I think that is the only time this season that is the case, Don, because I don't think they closed as double-digit favorites at home against the Giants. I know it's Thursday, but what are you looking for in this game from Philly?
Yeah, what I looked for last week, Kevin, just as a talking point here was, okay, they're in a dome. We're not worried about 25-mile-an-hour winds and it's freezing cold. You got 2 Ferrari wide receivers. I know it's a good defense. Get back on track. They moved the football, but the quarterback just couldn't stop turning the football over. Now, I look at this week and say, this is the perfect storm. Because you look at the teams that they played. Dallas is a decent football team. You had a 21-0 lead, you lost. The Bears are a good football team. You lost that game. The Chargers are a good football team. You lost the game. The Raiders are the bottom of the barrel on offense and defense. You should run them up a flagpole. But here we go, Kevin. 26 degrees at kickoff, 15-mile-an-hour winds, chance of snow. Like, here we go. When you used to hear that in the past and go, wait a second. Got the best offensive line in football. I got Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. Bring on all the snow you can get. Now I'm a little bit worried. Not in the Eagles winning, but what's the approach on offense? Do you have a quarterback that's a little bit gun-shy because he threw so many interceptions last week? Because you know the Eagles just can't lead on the running game anymore, no matter how bad that defense is. The Eagles should win by double digits, but I'm not betting it, Kevin, because why? The weather conditions out here. Every time I've seen the Eagles in windy, cold conditions, they can't move the football. I don't care how bad the Raiders' defense is. I can't go that direction. If you wanted to say what's one side you would play in this game, it's got to be Saquon Barkley. The Raiders aren't running away from everything, Kevin, which means quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're open to run the football and run it at will. It's Saquon for me once again this weekend.
You have to wonder if last week is a turning of the tide for Barkley specifically, where he had not just the one explosive run, but ran very well in that first half. Saquon, look, I know we're never going to put more blame on a running back than a quarterback, but Saquon has been bad this year. He does not look comfortable. He's not looked decisive. You wonder if last week changes some of that. Last one for you, DRS, and I'm sure you've been having a field day with this on the early line. Phillip Rivers. I honestly, I can't believe it's a thing. I think there's probably a fun take that he doesn't actually think he's going to get into the Hall of Fame, so why not reset the clock? But, the props out there, 151.5. It feels ridiculous. I don't know. The whole thing feels crazy to me, playing Seattle.
It feels like you just have to do what you're supposed to do when you're a handicapper, Kevin. This is a 44-year-old quarterback that hasn't played in 5 years, going up against an elite defense on the road, and we're expected he's going to drop back 25 times to be the Phillip Rivers of 2012 at this point. It doesn't feel great, which means, Kevin, if I'm betting this game, it has nothing to do with Phillip Rivers. They're going to hand that football to Jonathan Taylor 30 times in this football game. That's the angle I play. I can't wait, though, Kevin, to watch it play out, and I hope he does well, but it could be a disaster. It could be.
The one thing that I'm trying to forget, because it's going to end up getting me to bet the Colts, is this is now a point more than Max Brosmer was catching. Phillip Rivers cannot be worse than Max Brosmer.
No.
They can't.
No.
Then again, I said Brosmer couldn't be worse than McCarthy, and he was. DRS, we appreciate it. We'll be right back. ESPN lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
We just can't quit Josh Allen. He's at a 16% chance. And then the Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, don't count Lamar out. The Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen. And then there's those Kansas City Chiefs. But I got to tell you, Joe, you see how we're going lower and lower on this list right here? I'm telling you, a nice little wild card down there. You plunk $100 back and get paid $1,429 back on Houston Texans.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're live on SportsGrid. It is game time decisions. We're going to get right to it here because the Coach James Young, joins us here on a Thursday night. JY, great to have you back here. And you have a pick that's going to be coming right off the board here with Va Tech and the college basketball ranks. Let the people know.
Yeah, I'm going to take Virginia Tech minus 20.5. If you really think about it, West Carolina's got 2 games so far versus power teams. Lost to Duke by 40+, lost to Cincinnati by 30+, 1-8 against the spread. Virginia Tech covered the last 2 games. The game is in Blacksburg. Give me the Hokies minus the points.
All right, so a little love there for Va Tech from JY. The only college basketball game, though, featuring ranked action tonight is Iowa State and Iowa. The Hawkeyes catching 11.5, maybe 12 if we look around here. Are you betting this game tonight, Coach?
Yeah, I took the team total under 63.5 for Iowa, so make sure you do shop around and find the best number. When you really think about it, Iowa is one of the slowest teams. I think they're 359th in the nation in pace of play. They're 41 in defensive efficiency. Iowa State is top 10 in defensive efficiency, and both teams are top 150 in effective field goal percentage defense. Plus, Kevin, rivalry game, in-state game, slowdown game. And I think what I saw is, particularly at Iowa State, what they did against Purdue, that defense, people know that TJ Aschenberger, they were known for their defense first when he got there. And then their offense kind of creeped up. Now they're starting to find that defense again. Look for Iowa to go under 63.5 points tonight.
I will say this isn't a clean head-to-head, JY. I took the 12 with the Hawkeyes, was able to get a 12 minus 109 on Bet Rivers. It's more the spot. I played Iowa a little bit when they went to Michigan State and they got smashed. I think they're going to be looking to get up for this game. And I'm not saying Iowa State's going to overlook them at all, but they maybe played the best game they'll play all season. That win at Purdue is maybe the best win any team will have all year long. They ran Purdue off their own home floor. Close game at half, by the way, right? It wasn't like, they jumped on them, nothing Purdue could do. I was impressive. I'm going to take my chance here on Iowa. Some NBA options, and I mentioned an NBA option earlier. We are going to get Coach's thoughts on that in a bit. It involves the Oklahoma City Thunder. There's a lot of different... There's a longer question I think we might have time tonight to get into with the OKC Thunder that I want to talk about with Coach. I don't want to rush that. So let's just start with some of the games then here on the board, JY. And I'll begin with the Celtics and the Bucks. No Giannis. Boston's hot. Any chance Milwaukee could pull off a stunner?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. I mean, listen, Boston is playing as good a basketball as anybody in the Eastern Conference. I think they've covered, if I'm not mistaken, 8 straight games. I mean, they're bludgeoning teams. Milwaukee, Giannis just does so much for them in regards to, it allows like Rollins to get open for 3. Miles Turner opens up because of the pressure that he puts on you downhill. You look at a team in the Bucks that have not covered a 3 in the last 4 games and losing, obviously the last game to Detroit by double figures. I know it's a lot of points to give a road team, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to lay the 8.5, 9 shop around with the Celtics tonight in Milwaukee.
Not mad at that, JY. Maybe a prop in this game also worth your attention here?
Yeah, Jaylen Brown, and it kind of speaks, Kevin, to my whole thought process, right? Because of the downward pressure that Giannis Antetokounmpo gives you, you're forced to kind of slough in, and then that's why Milwaukee, actually, I do believe, Kevin, leads the league in 3-point shooting percentage. But they're going to come back to the pack because now you don't have that driving force to collapse the defense. So you look at Jaylen Brown, over 6.5 rebounds, over 3 in the last 4. Those games each with 8+. Bucks are bottom 10 and rebounds per game allowed to small forwards, and at the 3rd worst rebounding differential in the league. Give me Jaylen Brown over 6.5 boards tonight.
I will say with Jaylen Brown, who's now scored 30 in 6 of 7. I don't know, man. I don't really know what's going to happen here because I feel confident that Tatum wants to come back early. And I think the only thing that would stop him is Boston saying no. But I look around, and I think they want to be greedy with this one. I think they want Tatum back the second he's ready to play. And they'll say, it's an open East. Why not us?
Gotta be careful.
People are going to say, but no, I'm not worried about chemistry, JY. I am worried about the career of Jason Tatum. I am. I'm not. It is such a weird thing, Coach, but he and Halliburton were injured not that far apart, and Tyrese has been ruled out for the season. And Boston is talking about Tatum like there are Celtics fans, Coach, that think he's going to play next month. I'm just so uncomfortable by it. I am. And, here's the question, though. If I told you that Tatum is back, are Boston the favorites in the East to you?
No. I still don't think.
I mean, that says a lot.
I don't think so because I think they're going to miss that front court presence of losing. Let's be honest. Your top 3
They lost a lot,
centers.
JY. You're right.
You lost your top 3 centers and arguably one of the 3 best defensive guards in the world in Drew Holiday. I mean, folks, you're not selling me on Kata stopping people when it counts in the postseason. So it's been a good story. You got to be careful with these guys with injuries. And I'm a coach. I look at chemistry. And I'm looking at Boston if they bring back Tatum too early. Plus, he's a guard, Kevin. It's not like he's a big where cutting and moving and off that. He's might as well same thing. Damian Lillard got hurt a week and a half before them. And they ruled him out too. I understand he's older, but you get my point. They have to be very careful with disrupting chemistry if they're playing well. Same thing with the Hawks. I know people think I'm crazy about this, but they got to be careful because they're playing really good basketball in Atlanta. They got Jalen Johnson as the kind of, I don't want to say the superstar, but he's playing like one K'd up. You got to be careful when you try to bring the star player back and being about, I got to get mine. Will Jason Tatum come back to Boston and say, JB's running the show. I got to be a number 2 option. I'm going to live with it this year. Same thing with Trae Young. Kevin, these guys got egos. I don't think so. I'd hold out Tatum till next year.
All right, let's go to New Orleans and Portland, where the Pels are a slight home dog to a Portland team who early season looked frisky. They are the only team who has beaten the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. They have completely fallen apart. They are 9-15. I do not know if losing their coach has caught up to them or if it's just a true reflection of the talent on the roster. They are nevertheless still slight favorites here, JY. How do you feel about Portland in this spot?
I'm taking a chance on Portland because just the Pelicans are awful. I mean, they're awful, and the Zion thing keeps getting worse. And you look at at least with Portland, Kevin, they have covered, I think it's like 5 out of the last 6 or 4 out of the last 5 games. So that's saying something. And New Orleans is just decimated by injury. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay the points for Portland. And then for plays, I'm going to go with the low-hanging, PJ Tucker delight on a Thursday night. He's missing over 4.5 points. What? What are you doing, JY? I'm going under the last 3 games. I don't care. Portland, bottom 5, and points per game allowed to centers. 82% of his shots are at the rim. Donovan Clingan, their big, who actually protects the rim for Portland, is out. Low-hanging fruit, over 4.5 points tonight for Missy.
I will just say quickly on New Orleans, because a lot of people are struggling with how to talk about Derek Queen. So I'm going to give people a little bit of help, a little cheat code. The problem wasn't, in the moment, the trade up for Queen. It was drafting Jeremiah Fears before Derek Queen. If they just would have drafted Queen first, this whole thing would have been avoided. And people would feel great about New Orleans. We've got a couple more questions for JY after the break on SportsGrid. Everyone has just been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
We just can't quit Josh Allen. He's at a 16% chance. And then the Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, don't count Lamar out. The Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen. And then there's those Kansas City Chiefs. But I got to tell you, Joe, you see how we're going lower and lower on this list right here? I'm telling you, a nice little wild card down there. You plunk $100 back and get paid $1,429 back on Houston Texans.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we are back with you right here on this Thursday night, and there was a bet that we alluded to off of the top of the show. And I was wondering, but again, you guys know we have a great team here and a team willing to fire away. We're going to get to our crew best bets momentarily, but our guy AJ placed the bet. So I said, all right, you know what? I got to place the bet as well. So the bet is placed. So we're here with Coach James Young, host of both College Basketball Today and Pro Basketball Today. JY, it's up to you to be fully honest. Bet's placed. Nothing we can do now, okay? But others may want, to be pushed maybe in the opposite direction. Maybe you don't like the number. the Oklahoma City Thunder to not lose consecutive games in the regular season, plus 475. They are 24-1, so they don't even have a second loss yet. The Warriors are the reference point, right? They didn't lose consecutive games that season. And what feels so different for this Thunder team is in order for someone to beat them, for them to lose 2 in a row, odds are that means they are going to need to lose as a 12 or so point favorite in one, if not both of the games. I think it's a good price here, JY. What do you think about OKC?
I'm just running through the schedule right now. The things I would be concerned about is any kind of back-to-back matchups, like, Philadelphia, Atlanta at the end of December. I'm not really concerned about that too much. They'll find a way to get one of them. They don't have a ton of back-to-backs lined up. I'm just kind of going through really quick. The Orlando-San Antonio one is interesting because they're home against Orlando, and then they go to San Antonio the next night. That could be a tricky spot in one of those games. But going through it, Phoenix, Milwaukee, no. I don't really see it. Toronto, Detroit, no. Even though Toronto, I would say earlier, was giving teams a hard time. So besides that spot in the end of December, I mean, listen, you got a March 17, 18, that's Orlando and Brooklyn. Lord have mercy, that's bad. So to me, no. I would take that bet plus money. Yes, I would roll with it because even if they start to sit guys the end of the season, Kevin, they're so loaded and they have so many dudes that their second team's better than some team's first string. I'll go and take that bet as well that they don't lose consecutive games all year.
Michael's 72-10 Bulls did lose consecutive games. Probably another knock on Michael then. I mean, it does feel that way, right?
You know what, Kev? I call one spot, and it's late in the year.
Okay.
And it's New York, Detroit, back to back.
But they're at home.
That's the key thing. They're at home. The only way that could happen is if they're so far ahead of everyone and they start and the Knicks and Pistons are like jockeying for like 1-2 seed, I still think they find a way to win one of those two, to be honest with you.
My thing is, this is weird, right? I think you have to be, it's the Goldilocks thing, right? The worst teams in the league have no chance because A.J. Mitchell could go out there and lead OKC to a win. But I think the best teams are in a bad spot because then OKC's super locked in to play them. Like we saw OKC locked in last night. They 50-pieced Phoenix. Like I think you need to be good, but like not wildly on the radar. If that makes any like. Or Denver isn't going to, a long road trip, JY, sure. Well, but like they don't have a lot of long road trips.
No, but that one last road trip at the end of the year. See, the problem is the Clippers stink. This is where you would look at maybe if the Clippers were good. At the Lakers, April 7th, at the Clippers, April 8th, and then at Denver, April 10th. That's a spot, but in that spot, you have the Clippers in the middle. If it was flipped and it was Clippers, Lakers, Nuggets, then it could be like, that's the spot you look at. But that's the only one.
But let me throw this out there, JY, actually. I think you're actually maybe at your best late in the season because they might be chasing win 73, win 74, whatever. Like they might be chasing the record. So let me ask you this, Coach, because it's so weird. When I go and look at their odds to break the record right now on FanDuel's plus 235, I'm surprised it's plus money, but that's insane in itself.
Wait, they got one loss and it's plus 235? JY will be placing that bet at the end of this second.
JY, right now, what do you think OKC is going to go?
I think, honestly, I think it's going to be something like 76-6, 75-7. I think they're going to. What does the guy Joe Lisi say? Smash! I think it's a smash job. I think they smash it, in my opinion.
JY, I don't disagree, really. I don't. And this is why I've told people about this a lot. He is finally the favorite. Dagnall to win Coach of the Year. Look, he is winning it unless the Pistons get to 60. I don't literally see, like, JY, maybe I'm blind by my own bet. Who's the biggest threat to Dagnall? We're talking about winning 75 games right now.
Yeah,
he's winning Coach of the Year.
If he gets to 75 games, it's a wrap.
He's going to win it unanimously.
No, it's unanimous pick. You can't. If he breaks the record and breaks it, Kevin, by 2-3 games.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. And if you kind of look at sometimes you look at Tankathon with the strength of six schedule. The crazy thing is they have the hardest strength of schedule according to Tankathon the rest of the way, and I still think they're smashing the record because Tankathon has to take into effect that they will be in their games out of the last 57 games. Kevin, I'm going to say 40 of them. They're going to be at least double-digit favorites. 40, right. And that's wild that we're saying in the NBA in a league where anybody can beat anyone. It's not anybody can beat Oklahoma City. It's like, can you be within in the game with 2 minutes left to go versus Oklahoma City?
I want to just throw this out there just because I don't know if I've made the case to JY yet. And yes, this show will be the leading PR machine for Case and Wallace DPOY. JY, I think he's got a real shot. I don't know if it's something that you've been looking into yet, but I think Case and Wallace leads the NBA in steals. I think he's been their best defender this year.
Well, the problem is you're going to look at the minutes. Does he get enough minutes? But that could happen, Kevin, down the stretch, and the fact that they blow a lot of teams out. So he's going to get minutes that way.
Yeah, I'm going to keep taking a look at it. JY, we really appreciate it. Awesome, awesome stuff. We'll be right back on Sports Grid. Everyone has just been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
We just can't quit Josh Allen. He's at a 16% chance. And then the Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, don't count Lamar out. The Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen. And then there's those Kansas City Chiefs. But I got to tell you, Joe, you see how we're going lower and lower on this list right here? I'm telling you, a nice little wild card down there. You plunk $100 back and get paid $1,429 back on Houston Texans.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on SportsGrid. It is game time decisions, and you know what that means. Right here on a Thursday night, Marcelino Ortiz joins us as always. Marcelino, great to see you.
How are you, my friends? Straight from the Latin Nation Football Club headquarters here in Los Angeles, California. Very happy to come at you with the latest and greatest football that we have this week. A lot of exciting things. The first one of them all, new champion in MLS. That's right, Miami has become the winner of the MLS Cup. Messi became the MVP of the competition for the second time straight, a new record in the tournament, never before done. Messi is now probably building a dynasty and fulfilling the destiny and the expectation that we had from him.
I just wanted to say, as I watched that final, and it was the most focused I had been on one of those games. I know we talk about them weekly. I didn't realize that. I think I'm Mascanero. Like, I'm familiar, obviously, with his time in Barca. I didn't realize he was the manager. It is a little crazy that how much of that Barcelona group was out there on the pitch. Like, Alba in his last game, Suarez is up there with Messi. You've got, Busquets playing out there. Like, where's Piqué? He doesn't want to run a little center back there, Marcelino?
Well, rumor has it that the next target for Miami is no other than Neymar. So you will be having an extra little bit of Barcelona right there in that team. But the reality is that what David Beckham has achieved is something to be recognized. He had a vision that didn't begin a few years ago when he started Miami FC. It's a vision that came to be when he came to Galaxy almost a decade and a half ago and tried to make U.S. soccer something special. And I think he's achieving that. What we've seen is that Messi has brought many eyeballs and attention to the league that like no other time before. So we're very excited to see what's going to come after the World Cup, after everyone comes to the United States and realize that there's true football culture in this country. But there's so many games this weekend that I don't want your viewers to go without some advice. Let's talk about the other final in the continent, Liga MX. Final 2 games are happening this weekend. Today at 6 p.m. Pacific, Tigres receives Toluca. And this game is going to be not only a great game with a lot of goals. My betting here is with Tigres. They're at home. Very hard to beat in El Volcán. And I think there's going to be a lot of goals because they have some of the best scorers in the league. Both Toluca and Tigres, they're stacked. So go for the over on this game. It's going to be great.
And with the second leg this weekend, Marcelino, is there anything just to try and prepare yourself for as a better going into that second leg?
Without a doubt, individual players to look at. Paulinho from Toluca. This is a great forward, very, very demanding and commanding when they come to the box. Now, we see that the odds favor Tigres for this game. And in the series at large, Toluca is just slightly the favorite to win the whole thing, just because they had a better record. These are the first and second teams in the regular season in Liga MX. So we're just going to see the top of the crop in this final. Now, me, personally, as a member of Latin Nation Football Club, I am selfishly rooting for Tigres because, as you know, we have the games live here on Latin Nation. So we want Tigres to make it to the final so we can be the home to the champion of Liga MX. But my bet for this game is that Tigres will win this game on Thursday and the game on the weekend as well. I think Tigres will be the champion, and Toluca is just going to fall short to becoming that dynasty and winning their second one in a row.
And then one other thing, Marcelino, for people to keep their eye on, we just had some important Champions League fixtures. We had, Javi gets a little bit of heat put on him due to the loss to Manchester City. Haaland, again, scores because it's a day that ends in Y. My goodness. Did anything catch your attention with the recent fixtures?
Without a doubt, I think Atletico de Madrid is doing a great job. It's a team that always has really good performances in the early stages of the group phase, and then they start fizzling down. I believe that they are something to watch. Arsenal again, and Liverpool. I think Liverpool is one of the teams that has been most talked about with the fallout that they have with Mo Salah, one of their most legendary players and referenced in the top third of the field for them. And he was separated from the team after having these unfortunate declarations in an interview where he felt like the club didn't want him anymore there. So he was removed. He didn't travel for Champions League. And yet Liverpool, among all these bad results, they got the result in Champions League. So it might be something that they might be looking to replay this weekend in the Premier League when they have a very important match because they're not doing well in the championship.
Wow, that is very, very interesting. I don't think I kind of realized the weight of that entire situation. Marcelino, we appreciate it as always. Make sure you keep up to date with everything that they do over at Latin Nation Football Club. They do an excellent, excellent job. We're going to talk about Thursday night football after the break on SportsGrid. been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
We just can't quit Josh Allen. He's at a 16% chance. And then the Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, don't count Lamar out. The Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen. And then there's those Kansas City Chiefs. But I got to tell you, Joe, you see how we're going lower and lower on this list right here? I'm telling you, a nice little wild card down there. You plunk $100 back and get paid $1,429 back on Houston Texans.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on SportsGrid. It is a Thursday night, and some of the loyal viewers out there may be thinking to themselves, hold on a minute. We haven't had best bets yet, and there's no way these guys don't have best bets. That must mean they're waiting for Mike Blewett to show up, and you'd be absolutely right. Mike Blewett here with us on this Thursday night. You can always catch Mike leading our coverage during the in-game live 1 o'clock NFL stretch. I know Mike Blewett is ready to go for Kenny Pickett versus Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. Mike, it's great to see you.
Guy, not just that, but we've got a Monday night altercation, the likes that haven't been seen in some time on Monday Night Football. Obviously, we'll have to pause on that because it's just Thursday, and we've got a lot to get to. But tonight is an interesting one, another divisional matchup that's really important for the Bucs to try to get back on the winning side of things. And I think we got a few props in here that we like.
Yeah, what we're going to do then is I just want to put these best bets on the board for everybody, and then we'll see what's really speaking of Mike here. I kept it simple. I'm playing over 43.5. I like the spot for both of these offenses here. I think you're buying low on Atlanta coming off of a game where they couldn't move it against Seattle, but that's not all too surprising. And I think you're still getting a cheaper number on the Bucs, despite the uptick in health for them in this game. They've not put that all together just yet out there on film. I think we're going to see it look good here tonight. I like over 43.5. I think there's multiple pathways to get there. Chris, with a friend of the household special, if you will, Bucs money line, Emeka or Evans to score, plus 108. Can't really be mad at that. Baker long rush over 10.5. Bucky for 60 rushing, minus 102. That's Sam's best bet. That's AJ's best bet. I'll say this, little heat on me, probably in the household, that the only person who has a Falcons logo next to them is me. But I'll wear that. That's okay. Mike, for you, best bets. Anything really speaking to you here, Falcons, Bucs?
So Kofsky and I seem to be aligned. Obviously, he's a very smart individual, hardest working man on this show. As hard worker as you and Yarnell are, I hear a lot of chatter out of you guys. Kofsky just silently getting it done, making the show run incredibly well.
But I want to say something. I want to add to that, Mike. I want to add to that. No, I want to add to that, though, and because this is why Blewett's really the best to do it, right? Is the one time Mike says that is the one time Kofsky's not here on a Thursday and also won't be here tomorrow. Like, you can't make that up. is Chris took his first 3 days off in a row stretch in quite some time.
I would say though, well earned, right? Obviously, hardest working man on the show. Guy needs a couple of days. Give him a couple of days.
It's a great point.
For Christ's sake, the guy's been working his fingers to the bone.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I do agree with sort of his angle. I will say this: Emeka Ibuka, 20 yards away from his seasonal yardage over, something that I have, and I'm going to lean into that tonight. I like Ibuka over on receptions. His yardage total right around 50 and a half. It's been a little hit or miss with the other guys back on the scene, but meaning Godwin and Evans in terms of yardage. But I think he gets enough targets tonight. It's really low, 3.5. I think you can get over 3.5, and I'll even play it up all the way to maybe a 4+ and 5+ receptions on Ibuka. In terms of the total, I like where your head is at. I have a hard time trusting Atlanta to get me there. If you think the Bucs can really create a blowout situation here, a 30-14 or a 30-17 comfortable victory, maybe. But I'd have a hard time trusting Atlanta to get there, even though I follow your logic. They've just been so horribly inconsistent scoring.
Yeah, the one thing, though, and I didn't really use this to make the case, but, I mean, you know, we could just pop up the game board again, Mike. Look at the uniform matchup.
Beautiful. Love it.
You know, so maybe total should be 47.5. You know, I think that's something that's
57.
Yeah, so
why are we stopping?
It's a great point. It's a great point. Yeah, we're gonna have to add some alts and all of a sudden to the card here. I think what's interesting though, Mike, with this game is how important all of a sudden it becomes for Tampa Bay. You know, the thing is, a loss in division you can kind of always justify to a degree. It's harder for Tampa, though, due to the recent level of play we've been seeing, where they were just outclassed in that 3-game run against New England, Buffalo, and the Rams. And the win against Arizona, again, it was fine. It was what it needed to be. But the loss to New Orleans changes the math. They now have 2 games left against Carolina, and they share the same record, which I think makes tonight's game against the Falcons a must-win. It is the odds expect a split probably between the Panthers and Bucs, which means you can't afford another divisional loss here if you're Tampa Bay.
Yeah, really important. No question about it. And not just for the record and the long-term playoff race that we're involved in, divisional race that we're involved in, but just to not look like crap on offense, to be honest, Kev. They had moments in the Buffalo game, which is now a month ago. They had moments in the Buffalo game where they looked really good, but that was also as a result, they put up 32 points that day, but also a result of Josh Allen playing really poorly in the first half of that game. So they put up a couple of touchdowns on short fields.
True.
The defense has been way worse. The offense has been inconsistent. I obviously I concede that there's been a lot of injuries this season to the offensive line. Tristan Wirfs was out last week. Mike Evans has been out. Chris Godwin started the season on IR. So there's a lot of question marks regarding the health of the offense on the totality of the season, but we're in the playoff. We're in the playoff race now. And for us to back them long term, they need to start putting up performances. It might be hard on a short week. It's why I understand your over total, and maybe the Bucs defense will help you get there. But I have to see some consistency out of both offenses.
Yeah, well, I actually, Mike, here with a little jackpot that we take, I decided to take a full, from the heels swing. Bucs defense 10-1. Cousins can give you one. So now the thing is, this was a lesson that I think we kind of learned together, Mike, after rooting in a sell me something of yours. Careful where you bet it. This is a FanDuel bet. Punt return, kick return, that's nothing for me. But that's okay. I'm getting also double the number due to that fact. Chris is playing Emeka. Bucky for AJ. I mean, I'm not really sure what to make of this Felipe Franks situation here from Sam. Like, Mike, I know you like craziness, but that feels a little, I don't know. That's a little wild to me.
It's 25-1. You bet those for a reason, right? It's a big time long shot. So if we're trying to bring it home. You're picking a long shot too, right? It's the tricky part on the defense because you can get a huge negative play. Guy gets tackled at the 1 yard line. You don't cash in, even though you had the right read. And like you said, some special teams touchdowns that you think naturally are defensive touchdown don't count. So you need a pick six. You need a scoop and score, period.
Here's what I'm going to say, though, all right? Felipe Franks. Because I saw this. He told me about this, and I was like, you're taking the backup quarterback. And then I pulled up the depth chart, and he's not the backup quarterback. That's Easton Stick. Felipe Franks has transitioned to a tight end now for the Atlanta Falcons. He doesn't have a catch this season. He's ran the ball twice, though. So I don't think, he feels more of a fullback than anything. Let's get the snap count here for Felipe Franks. All right. Yeah, no, listen, didn't take one last week. All right. Okay. His season high in snaps is 3. All right. Yeah. Hey, listen. I don't know, Mike. Mike, I don't know. Felipe Franks' first touchdown, anyone?
To be honest, kind of feels like the night, Kev.
We're going to talk about the Sunday slate with Mike after the break.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. The Lions will make the playoffs this season. Buy or sell?
I believe that's what the computer tells us, right? They are almost exactly 50-50 to make the playoffs now after that win. Now, it's sort of the game I'm going to play here when we talk about the Cowboys making the playoffs. If you're going to put Detroit in, Craig, who are you taking out? All right? They're not, even with the win last night, they're not in the playoff spot right now. They're still the 8th seed here. You taking out San Fran? Their schedule's cake. They should get in. Green Bay beat you twice. So you would probably need, for them to make the playoffs, Seattle's the other team, by the way, I think Seattle gets in. You would need Green Bay or Chicago, really, what they're ready for is one to beat the other. They do play each other twice, to beat them twice, right? They can't have a split here. They need either Chicago to beat Green Bay twice or Green Bay to beat Chicago twice, sort of eliminate the other team. So I am probably selling this. I do think there's a chance here. You look at the Lions' schedule, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, the last 2 are on the road.
Yeah, I think that I'm on board here with you. In the AFC, Detroit would be in. But in the NFC, you have to make a prediction to knock a team out. Now, like as an example, in the NFC East, could you see a scenario, George, where Philadelphia just completely falls apart like they did 2 years ago? Sure, but then they still would win the division. Like you really can't find a path for the Lions unless, for me, I guess the team that I would question the most to make it and knock them out would be the Bears. Like that would be it. It would be just the Bears playing the softer schedule. I know they beat Philadelphia last week, but I just can't do it right now. So unfortunately, this could be a 11-win season, 10-win season for Detroit without them getting in. I will sell. They will not make it. I'm with you here.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here on a Thursday night on SportsGrid. And I actually do want to bring up the Michigan job. We're here with Mike Blewett. We'll get to some of the NFL games. But what I wanted to ask you about, Mike, is the job opening itself. Obviously, it looks like an awful situation, with going on there. But Michigan has to find a coach. And it's interesting, but due to the nature of college football right now, they can't be patient. They don't have any competition, really, in terms of hiring a guy. It's that the portal is going to open up, and this thing could be an absolute free-for-all because, players want certainty. And my read on Michigan is they're not going to want just anybody. Now, maybe they'll have no choice, again, because of the timing, but I feel like they would love a splash hire. And I mean, I threw out crazy ones yesterday, Mike. Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur, Mike Tomlin. What is your read on the job opening and potential candidates that you could see actually getting the job?
Yeah. So if this was a month ago, definitely the best job on the board. No question. Better than Penn State, better than LSU and Michigan, I would say, are comparable. That's about where we're at. People can rightfully argue why LSU is better because of the local talent pool, and I agree with that to an extent. But in terms of money and resources in this new era of college football, Michigan can compete with anybody. Remember, they are one of the two schools that when the massive private equity deal was brought to the Big Ten, Michigan's like, we're good. I think we can do this ourselves. Don't want an outside party owning part of Big Ten enterprises. That states to you the kind of money they're dealing with. Larry Ellison from Oracle, Stephen Ross, owner of the Dolphins, massive, deep pockets. And those are just two people that they have access to. So that's why I would say Michigan could be the best job. If you want to call it 1A, 1B with LSU, fine. But given that the coaching hiring cycle has effectively completed when these few guys that are in the college football playoff end up at Florida and UCLA and I'm forgetting one. Well, Lane Kiffin's already left, right? So once these planes land, then that coaching cycle would effectively be done. I think Michigan can rip just about any coordinator away from any job in college, any of them. Will a head coach do that to their program after this hiring cycle is over in college? I think they would. Yeah. None of the new hires, like John Sumnall, is not going to leave Florida to go to Michigan, for example. Or Lane. Lane Kiffin would do anything, frankly, but I think he's going to be good at LSU.
Yeah.
But I do think they would fish really heavily in the pro waters. I don't mind you throwing out the big names like that. John Harbaugh, throw his name out there, right?
Sure.
His brother has familiarity with the place. I don't think that would happen, but I think they'll call literally everybody and anybody. Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator, did coach there. He's very young, though. Do they want somebody that's young like that? I would say take a swing at somebody like that if they think he's worthy of the job. But I don't mind throwing out the big names like that. I do find, though, that established professional coaches that still currently hold their opportunities or may get other pro opportunities are really probably struggling with the way that the college landscape works right now. You can go to a program like Michigan and be well-heeled and buy a roster that's certainly good enough to compete for a national championship, but there's still a lot of confusion in the way that it works. The transfer portal, you have to have somebody that's very good at navigating that. And that's a relatively new skill that it's hard to know who's great at it right now when combining it with the money. Pro's a little bit more straightforward. Jeff Hafley, obviously famously, the former Boston College coach, leaves to be the defensive coordinator in Green Bay. And I think is because he was dealing with a lot of complications that were difficult at a school like BC to maintain its competitiveness. But I think you really can call just about anybody that has any interest in being a head coach. If they're willing to do it at the college level, anybody would be attracted to this job. I don't take it lightly. I'd put Michigan in the top 5 or 6 jobs in the country. Easy.
Yeah, look, I agree with really a lot of everything you said there. I want to ask you about a couple of these 1 o'clock games, and we'll close the show with Mike so we can mix in a few more. It's a little overwhelming how good the 1 o'clock slate is.
Oh.
Bengals, Ravens, Chiefs, Chargers, Pats, Bills. I mean, Michael, kind of dealer's choice it here. Of these, options, which one do you think you're most excited for come Sunday at 1?
I mean, Jets, Jags right there at the top of the list, Kev. Just kidding. So I think I have to focus on Bills, Pats because it was such for all the hand wringing about, the Pats schedule is so easy, and it is significantly softer than really even the 31st toughest schedule. They had a huge win in Buffalo, and it's given them a massive advantage in the division, in the playoff race, and had people thinking that they were for real when most people were doubting them. Now, they've won 10 games in a row, and I really think the Bills might throw their best punch this weekend. I think we could have a classic, everybody playing their best. I think the Bills are a slight favorite, like the books have them right now, but you got to trust Sean McDermott against Mike Vrabel, and I don't know that I would do that every time. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think the one number with those games, though, right? Because the excitement level is there. Bengals Ravens 51.5, Pats Bills 49.5, Chiefs Chargers 41 and a hook, and that feels like you're seeing a number because of two low-scoring, ugly primetime games, and it is begging to work back the other way. That's the early read for me on Chiefs-Chargers because I always use the phrase swinging with the tee off. A week after playing the Texans is going to feel like playing the worst defense in football, even if it's a good defense kind of situation. We're going to get everything that you need for Thursday Night Football after the break right here on Game.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. The Lions will make the playoffs this season. Buy or sell?
I believe that's what the computer tells us, right? They are almost exactly 50-50 to make the playoffs now after that win. Now, it's sort of the game I'm going to play here when we talk about the Cowboys making the playoffs. If you're going to put Detroit in, Craig, who are you taking out? All right? I mean, they're not, even with the win last night, they're not in the playoff spot right now. They're still the 8th seed here. You taking out San Fran? I mean, their schedule's cake. They should get in. Green Bay beat you twice. I mean, so you would probably need, for them to make the playoffs, Seattle's the other team, by the way, I think Seattle gets in. You would need Green Bay or Chicago, really, what they're ready for is one to beat the other. They do play each other twice, to beat them twice, right? They can't have a split here. They need either Chicago to beat Green Bay twice or Green Bay to beat Chicago twice, sort of eliminate the other team. So I am probably selling this. I do think there's a chance here. You look at the Lions' schedule, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, the last two are on the road.
Yeah, I think that I'm on board here with you. In the AFC, Detroit would be in. But in the NFC, you have to make a prediction to knock a team out. Now, like as an example, in the NFC East, could you see a scenario, George, where Philadelphia just completely falls apart like they did 2 years ago? Sure, but then they still would win the division. Like you really can't find a path for the Lions unless, for me, I guess the team that I would question the most to make it and knock them out would be the Bears. Like that would be it. It would be just the Bears playing the softer schedule. I know they beat Philadelphia last week, but I just can't do it right now. So unfortunately, this could be a 11-win season, 10-win season for Detroit without them getting in. I will sell. They will not make it. I'm with you here.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions, a Thursday night on SportsGrid. In the NBA tonight, my favorite bet's going to be Kawhi Leonard over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Kawhi and the Clips have not played since Saturday. Great rest. He'd been playing 30 or more minutes recently. I really like the spot. I think he can actually clear that number on points alone. In the college basketball ranks, I'm going to play Iowa plus 12 against Iowa State. I think it's a nice little buy low, sell high combination here. We'll take the points with the Hawkeyes. as far as the NFL goes. We have best bets and touchdowns. We're joined by Mike Blewett. We'll get some from him. But there is one more game I do want to get some early thoughts from Mike on. And I know it's outside of your window, Mike, but Phillip Rivers, 44 years old, hasn't played in ages. Props are out, 151.5. Seahawks defense, Seahawks team as a whole. What is your early read on this football game?
As long as he gets through the game, we're over 150. I think they're going to have to throw a lot. I think the Seahawks could crush them like they have other teams, and it puts your quarterback in a position where they just have to throw it. Yeah, will they try to establish with Jonathan Taylor early? Of course. But against the Seahawks, they haven't been able to do that against much lesser defenses for the last 6 weeks. So, honestly, I already bet the Rivers passing prop over. I got it at 150.5, and I'm good. I'm going to have fun with it, and I think he's going to have to throw to just try to keep them in the game. And I think it could be a fourth quarter sweat, but what are we doing? That's what we enjoy here on the grid.
It is. I don't know. I'm torn right now. There's 50% of me that says a lot of value on the Colts plus 13.5. And there's another 50% of me that goes, you said that about Max Brosmer, right? So that's kind of where I'm at right now on this game as a whole. It does. I'll ask you this quick follow-up, Mike, just on Indianapolis. 8-5 right now, 4 remaining games. At Seattle, Monday nighter against the Niners at home, a Sunday night game at home against the Jags, and then at the Texans. It's not an overreaction or a simplification to say this team is missing the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win another game.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe they win once.
Maybe they win one. Yeah.
But I don't think the tiebreakers are going to work their way by winning. If 9 is enough, they would need Kansas City to only win 8 and the Chargers to only win 9. Because KC has them beat for tiebreakers, and they beat the Chargers, but the Chargers are the Chargers at 9 wins? Yeah, so that's not going to work out. Yeah, it's just not going to work out.
By the way, Phillip Rivers has hit over 150. I think we've got dozens of games in a row. Every time he went out there in 2020, he was over 150.
I wonder how many career games he has under 150 passing yards, right? Should we quick research team this? Let's see if we can quickly do this. Let's see. Maybe we get our research team in the back with it. Less than 100.
You got to start it in 06. Looks like he had.
Looks like. Well, that doesn't count because you want like a minimum of attempts too, right? In games where he threw the ball at least 20 times, it only happened 11 times.
Well, he's going to throw like 35. He's going to throw like 35.
But I'm just saying, there's not a lot of what they're looking for here. Last time Phillip Rivers threw for 2014.
I say a lot, but there you go. You're welcome on the Phillip Rivers over.
Yeah, it's been a decade since that lost, so double your welcome. Let's put best bets on the board here. Mike, feel free to bat lead off. What's your favorite bet in this matchup tonight?
I just took Ibuka over 3.5 receptions, and I bet it up to 5. So 4+, 5+. I think he gets there, and he's going to be over his season total on yardage if he gets just 20 yards.
I'm on the over 43.5. I like the spot for both of these offenses here. I think Bijan Robinson looks fantastic in this matchup. I did a chalk parlay if you're interested. Falcons to get to 14, Bucks to get to 17, and then Bijan for 100 rush receiving. I think it's a combination night there for Robinson. Chris is going to play Bucks money line with Emeka or Evans to score. That's over on FanDuel. Sam's going to play Baker Mayfield long rush over 10.5, and then AJ with a Bucky Irving 60+ rushing yards. Touchdown score, Mike?
Let's go. I'm going to stick with Ibuka. I think he was targeted last week right on the goal line. Baker overthrew him. It was a key play in the game. I think he goes back to him. Mike Evans always needs him.
All right, I'm going to go with the Bucks defense. We're going to see you tomorrow on SportsGrid. In-game live is next.